Warlocks are eating good in Edge of Fate, and I'm sad that it took me this long to actually find out just how fun Warlocks have been. In this video, I'm going to show you two builds that I have been using on my Warlock, and both are competing for my number one spot in the best Warlock build. These builds are so much fun that me as a Hunter main, I'm considering swapping over to Warlock this season, and I thought I was going to be playing Titan. But Warlock has been going crazy, so let's get into the first build, which you probably already heard of, is this Starfire Protocol build. Now, Starfire got a change in Edge of Fate, and I'm going to read the change for you now. It says fusion grenades have an additional charge, which means you get another grenade, and recharge from empowered weapon damage. With empowered weapon final blows, granting more energy. Defeating targets with fusion grenades grant rift energy. Now, empowered doesn't just mean you're empowering rift. Now radiant buff counts as an empowered kill. So you get radiant, all your weapon damage counts as empowered weapon kills, and you get more grenade energy for that. So as you can tell, we're probably gonna be using our nades a lot. You get 2 fusion nades, and you know what Starfire Protocol does. Well, with the stat changes in Edge of Fate, it has just made this build even better. So before we get into the stats and before we get into the subclass and weapons and all that, let's take a look at our artifact mod. Now, you're going to want to make sure you have Fever and Chill, because getting precision hits with solar weapons grants you Radiant. Now, you want to have Radiant, like I said, for your Starfire Protocol, but you want to have multiple ways of getting Radiant. This is just one of them. So we're going to have Fever and Chill here. We're going to have Elemental Coalescence. Defeating targets has a chance to create an elemental pickup, matching your equipped super element. Now, this is going to be helpful, as you'll see in a little bit. On top of that, we're going to have Radiant Shrapnel, so that once we are Radiant and we're dealing more damage with any weapon, we're going to be creating these little solar projectiles that seek enemies and deal extra damage, which is always great. And Shield Crush. So when we have Woven Mail, Frost Armor, Void Overshield, or melee, our melee recharges faster and deals more damage. But while we're Radiant, our grenade recharges faster and deals more damage. And that's what we want. We're going to be Radiant damn near constantly, and our fusion nades are going to get a buff from Shield Crush, because we're going to be Radiant for so long. Now that you know that, let's look at our subclass real quick. Now, when it comes to your super, I like to run Song of Flame, because out of every solar Warlock super, it's the one that I have the most fun with. If you're going to be playing a support role, kind of, definitely run well, obviously. And if you want to run around with Daybreak, I mean, that's your choice. I run Phoenix Dive, and because we are no longer bound to empowering Rift to get our ability or our weapon kills. So we can use Phoenix Dive for extra health. Since we're not going to be using a healing nade, we're going to be using fusions. Now, something to note, Empowering Rift is getting a buff in the near future that's going to grant you increased melee, increased grenade damage, and I think one more other change. So once that change comes out, it might be worth to go swap back over to Empowering Rift. But for right now, use Phoenix Dive so you have a way of healing yourself, which you'll see we'll have another in a little bit. Burst Glide, just because that's what I like. Incinerator Snap. This one I would recommend you use whichever one you are more comfortable with. Sometimes I like to use the other melee, the Celestial Fire, because I like the range. But Incinerator Snap will be fine. Fusion Nades for now. Touch of Flame, so that we get the double explosion on our fusions. And Hellion, so that we have a little bit of help when we do use our Phoenix Dive, because if you're using your Phoenix Dive, you're more than likely needing the health bump. So once you do that, you have somebody helping you get out of the situation you're in. You have that extra solar damage coming out. For fragments, we're going to use Ember of Ashes for more Scorch stacks. Ember of Char, so our ignition spreads Scorch. Ember of Torches, so that our powered melee makes us Radiant. So that's Radiant from here and Radiant from our artifact. And your solar ignitions have increased area of effect. This is something that you can change out. I like using this for explosions, and with Phoenix Dive, I feel like I have enough health to sustain myself. But if you feel like you're not really surviving, if you're running the higher end content, you're getting hit everywhere, you're killing things, but you're getting hurt very often, and Phoenix Life just isn't potent enough, you can swap over to Ember of Mercy. When you revive an ally, you and other nearby allies gain restoration. That's not the part we're really going to look forward to. What you want this for is for picking up a fire sprite grants restoration. So you're going to be making fire sprites everywhere because you're going to be using a solar weapon. So fire sprites are going to get you restoration. You're going to have Phoenix Dive for healing and the fire sprites for restoration. So if you find yourself dying a lot, definitely swap to Mercy instead of Eruption. But for me, Eruption is working. I like Eruption. Phoenix Dive seems good enough. So just depend on your playstyle, pick and choose. Now, let's look at our weapons. Mint Retro is going to be here just because you want a potent secondary that's going to hit hard, right? Now, the main star for this build, besides Starfire Protocol, is Devil's Ruin. Now, Devil's Ruin got a change, and it's instead of having to like an alternate fire, you can get fire sprites, and that will activate your alternate fire, the laser beam. So this says Final Blows create fire sprites. After picking up a fire sprite, press R to enable the high-powered solar laser beam, and it's strong against unstopped champions. Now, Final Blows create fire sprites, so not only are you going to be creating fire sprites from your subclass, but using this weapon is going to also create them, and you're going to double dip. You're going to get the restoration from the fire sprites, and you're going to get the laser on your Devil's Ruin, which also scorches enemies and all that. So Devil's Ruin is really strong, and Outrageous Fortune is just the heavy that I chose because it's a new heavy. I got a really good roll. It's a grenade launcher, so that's what I'm using here. Now for stats, you're going to want to highly invest in your grenade. Not only do you want at max grenade you can for the cooldown, as we're going to get cooldowns from other things also, but you want the bonus damage from the stat. As you can see, I have a 43.3% PvE buff to my fusion nades. That is huge. You're going to be tossing nades, getting them back so often that you're just going to be exploding everything with your fusion nades. Secondly, get your melee stat up. I would suggest getting at least 70 so that you have your incinerator snap often so that you can chain everything together, and at least 70 super so that you get your super pretty often. If you don't want to do your melee, I definitely go from melee to either weapons or your class. Class, if you want Phoenix Dive more often, but like I said, if you're making fire sprites, you're gonna get healing from that. You can put that on. So maybe you want to use weapons instead, so you get a little weapon buff. But that's only if you can get over 100. I'd say if you can get your grenade as high as you can, and then your super 70, and you can get your weapon stat to like 130 or higher, then you can invest in weapons. If not, I just say put it into your melee, put it into your class ability, something that you're going to be using more often. And other than that, this build is really strong. I'm going to shrink myself and play some footage of me using this build. I went into K1 logistics, and it was really fun. Here are the quick mods that you could look at. I just went through K1, just really throwing nades, incinerating snap people, using Devil's Ruin. It feels really good to use Devil's Ruin right now. It's strong. The laser beam is nice, and this build altogether just works really well. The fusion nades are strong. The snap is strong. Solar's healing me. It feels like this build is really unstoppable when you're going through content, right? However, there is one more build that is competing with this, and honestly, not only is it strong, but it's really fun, and it may be more fun than this build. So let's get into that build now. Okay, this is the build that is competing with Starfire Protocol, and it's another exotic chess piece, and that is Rhyme Coat Raiment. Now, this exotic says Your Bleak Watcher turrets are enhanced and extended with extended range, and you are surrounded by stasis crystals and a storm. While standing in the storm, you are granted icicles over time. Icicles activate when you fire your weapon, applying slow to targets they hit. So you may be thinking, this is a stasis build, but it's not. You are going to be using Bleak Watch. What am I talking about? Bleak Watcher turrets. Sorry. But you're not going to be on stasis. Now, if you run stasis, there's a lot of things in stasis that you can use with a rhyme stealer weapon to get. You could break the shards that pop up, the crystals that pop up in the storm. You can break those, get shards. You'll get frost armor. You'll get melee energy back, and that's really good. But I like using this chest piece with prismatic. So let's take a look at our artifact mods. We're going to be using basically the same stuff. All right. We're going to have elemental pickups, right? We're going to have fever and chill. We're going to have radiant shrapnel, and we're going to have shield crush. You might be wondering, why are we using shield crush and all of this stuff? Nothing really changed. Well, let's go to our subclass. So I'm using Nova Bomb. I'm using Nova Bomb because you're going to be creating a lot of elemental pickups. So every time you pick up that Void Breach, you're going to get an Overshield, and you're going to activate Shield Crush. And when you activate Shield Crush with a Void Overshield, your melee gets buffed. Now, you may have seen this build with Feed the Void. Now, Feed the Void is good. If you want to have a lot of nades and you want to throw the Storm, Bleak Watcher turrets everywhere, then yeah, run Feed the Void. I prefer Lightning Surge. Now, the Cha-Cha Slide Warlock build is really, really good, right? You have 3 Arcane Needle stacks, so you have 3 Lightning Surges. You can go around, melee people. It's great. So that's basically what we're going to be doing, on top of having our Ice Turret to back us up. So, Bleak Watcher, you eat your nade, and then you throw out a powerful turret, right? Lightning Surge, you know what that does. You're going to run Arcane Needles, and I'm running Storm Grenade because if I need a powerful nade, say I don't want my Storm, my turret right now, I need just a regular nade. I like to use Storm Grenade because it's really strong. Just one pop, it does real good damage. But honestly, you constantly using my turret, so this didn't really come into a factor in the gameplay, but I definitely have used that in case. I'll give an example of a different nade you can use for different reasons in a little bit, but let's talk about our fragments. Facet of Solitude. This landing rapid precision hits emits a severing blast from the target. So this is here just because I like this fragment. I hit a lot of headshots, as you all should be trying to do, and that severing blast just really comes in handy if there's a lot of enemies around. The little strands go and attack them. It's really nice. I like it. I use it on damn near every prismatic build. Faceted Protection, because we are going to be sliding into a lot of enemies, and if for some reason we don't kill them in one go, we have a little bit of protection while we're surrounded. Faceted Grace, as you'll see, we're going to be using a special kinetic weapon. Defeating targets with kinetic weapons grants you bonus Transcendence energy. Defeating targets with just super grants you nearby allies bonus Transcendence energy. Faceted Dawn, so that we get ourselves Radiant. So not only will we be getting a Void Overshield and activating Shield Crush for our melee, we'll be getting Radiant with our melee hits, which are Lightning Surges, and we'll be activating a bonus on our grenade damage. And Faceted Blessing. Melee final blows start health regeneration while Transcendent, just so if we go into a group of people with our Lightning Surge and we happen to defeat them, we'll get a boost to our health in case we get hit for the higher end content. Now, you saw the exotic, you saw the subclass, you saw the artifact mods. Here's our primary, the Giver's Blessing. One, I just really like this auto rifle, so I wanted to try to use it. Two, I needed something with Demolitionist, right? I wanted something with Demo because I wanted something that was going to help me get my grenade back faster, because I wasn't going to use Feed the Void. I was going to use Lightning Surge, and this fit perfectly. Demolitionist, Kinetic Tremors, Great for ad clear, great for getting me my grenade back. It's an auto rifle, it's kinetic, so it activates that fragment we have. It works. And I was wondering, what secondary should I be throwing on? Return memory is from the Crucible, so you may not want to use it, but it does have incandescent and it has impromptu ammunition, which will help me get more ammo since my weapon stat is 0. And then I just have a heavy on here, something that you can use to defeat some of the chunkier enemies. But honestly, I use my rocket sidearm and my giver's blasting, and my heavy's kind of just left in the back. I probably throw on Thunderlord here just to have a machine gun, just in case I needed it. Now, let's look at the stats. Now, you may be thinking we're going to run a high grenade stat, but you'd be wrong. We're going to be running a high melee stat. Now, for this build, I'd say don't go over 100 grenade. You don't want the extra damage in your grenade because you're using your turret. But your turret isn't going to be doing a crazy amount of damage. Your turret's really there to freeze enemy and do kind of like area denial, to give you cover when you don't have cover, or to lend you cover in order to get into a group of enemies. And you'll see when I show you the gameplay. So you want 70 to 100 grenade stat, as much melee stat as you can get, because your melee is going to be your main ability damage. You're going to be going in, cha-cha sliding, lightning surging, everything. And then you want obviously your super at least 70, so you can throw nova bombs left and right. If you have a lot of extra stats, you have your melee as high as it can go. You have your grenade from 70 to 100 at least. Pump up your super as much as you can, because if you're gonna have nova bomb, and if you can get that over 100 and a good like maybe 120 super, you're gonna have a real nova bomb, if you know what I mean. You're gonna be nuking people with that super. So those are the 3 stats you want to go for. Quick look at the mods. Everything is just kinetic and all that stuff. It revolves around getting your melees back and your grenades back, because that's what you're gonna be doing. Now, I took this build into K1 also, and really how I like to play this build is to charge my turret, throw it into a group of enemies, it'll freeze them, and then I can slide in and defeat them, not only with my lightning surge, but explode the crystals that form, the stasis crystals that form when I land my grenade there, and then I shoot from that position. From that position, I clear whatever's in front of me, and I get the icicles from the exotic. I get the turret shooting out, and by that time I have another nade. I can throw another nade out and then go slide into that one if I want, or just slide with my melee like normal. Sometimes I'll throw my nade right at my feet if it's a boss phase, or if I just need the extra cover or something. There's a lot of ways you can play with this build, and it's just fun. It's just fun sliding around with your arc melees, just lightning surging everything, getting your healing, getting radiant, throwing your next turn out, and even if you throw it on a boss, they freeze, you go in, slide, boom, just destroy them. It's really fun. And this one feels like you're a lot more involved. The Starfire protocol is fun because you're throwing nades constantly, you're using Devil's Ruin to get fire sprites, you're healing yourself, and your little solar buddy is shooting things, making explosions, and it's all solar. This one feels like what Prismatic really should feel like. I'm throwing a stasis turret, this ice storm is happening, I slide in and I arc surge people, and it's really fun. Both of these builds are super strong, but both of them have their pros and cons, right? On this build, I'm not getting the healing I'm getting on the Starfire build, but I kind of am, because I do have the fragment that gives me healing when I get my melee kill. So it really just depends on what the situation is, right? I don't like to loadout swap. That's not something that I enjoy. I if I put on a build, I feel like I'm accomplished if the build can handle whatever content I'm doing. So when I go into a boss room, I am throwing on the Starfire protocol, because if I got to clear ads first and then go into a phase, I know that my Starfire is going to keep up regardless of whether or not there are ads in the room, right? But if I'm running a solo op or a fire team op and I'm just trying to have fun and I'm trying to be strong and powerful still, this build is going to be the build I throw on, because I can lightning surge, I can create stasis, slow things. I am all powerful in this build. So it just depends on what you want to do. Anyway, let me know in the comments which build you've been running on Warlock, which one you like better. Drop a sub if you enjoyed the video, and if you want to catch me live, go in the description, hit that Twitch link and drop a follow over there, because we're streaming stuff like this all the time. We're doing builds, we're doing PvP, we're doing endgame, we're doing all of it. So go follow over there, and I'll catch you in the next video.